The chamber of the alien council was quiet. Tall pillars of stone rose around the circle where the leaders sat. The air was heavy with the sound of breathing and the faint hum of glowing crystals that lit the room. At the center stood Turo, the oldest among them. His skin was marked with age, and his eyes held the weight of many years. He looked at the council with calm but firm expression. His voice was steady as he spoke. Do not provoke the humans. Do not strike their ships. Do not invade their worlds. If you do, they will not forgive, and they will not let you flee. The young commanders shifted in their seats. Some exchanged looks of disbelief. Others smirked as if they had just heard an old story told too many times. To them, humans were a small species from a single blue world, far away from the great centers of power in the galaxy. Varek, one of the younger leaders, leaned forward. His voice carried pride. Elder Turo, with respect, you make humans sound like a threat to our kind. But look at their numbers. Look at their fleets. They are not even close to our strength. They are nothing compared to the great powers. Why should we fear them? Turo did not flinch. He had heard the same question many times before. He lifted his hand, as if to quiet the room. You measure strength in ships, weapons, and numbers. But humans are not measured that way. They are measured in something else, something many of us forget. They have spirit, and that spirit does not break. The chamber grew still again. The commanders waited for him to continue, though some rolled their eyes. Turo spoke slowly, so every word would be remembered. There are stories of humans from the outer colonies. A raider fleet once struck them. Instead of surrender, the humans chased the raiders for years, across empty space. They did not stop when they were tired. They did not stop when they were wounded. They hunted until the raiders had nowhere left to run. That is the nature of humans. Once they decide to pursue, they will follow until the very end. A ripple of unease moved through the council. The idea of such persistence was not common among them. Most alien species knew when to retreat, when to abandon a fight to save their people. But humans, Turo said, were different. Another commander, Selin, laughed lightly to ease the tension. Old tales to frighten us. Perhaps humans are determined, but determination alone does not win wars. Without technology and power, they are weak. And we are strong. The others nodded, comforted by her words. They wanted to believe that humans were no different from any other young species. But Turo shook his head. His voice grew harder, sharper than before. You think this because you have not seen their eyes when they fight. I have. Long ago, I stood on a field after a clash with humans. Their ships were broken, their weapons shattered, yet they still stood. They looked at us not with fear, but with resolve. Even in defeat, they refused to give in. That is why I tell you, do not attack them. The council fell silent once again. For a brief moment, even the most confident among them felt a chill. The idea that humans could rise again and again, even after loss, unsettled them. Varek broke the silence, his voice calm but filled with challenge. Elder, your warning is heard. But I believe humans are no different from others. If they are struck with enough force, they will bend. I will prove it when the chance comes. Turo's eyes narrowed. He saw in Varek the same pride that had destroyed many before. Still, he spoke without anger. Listen well, Varek. You think victory is in the moment of battle. But with humans, victory is never in the first clash. It is in the days and years that follow. Strike them once, and you will live with their shadow forever. That is why I warn you. Do not attack. Do not test them. The young commander said nothing more, though a small smile played at the edge of his mouth. He thought the elder's words were heavy with fear, not truth. To him, humans were only another obstacle, nothing more. When the council ended, the leaders rose from their seats. They spoke quietly among themselves as they left the chamber. Some dismissed the warning as the voice of age. Others carried the unease with them, though they did not show it openly. Turo remained in the chamber long after they were gone. He stood alone, his hands resting on the stone table, his gaze fixed on the glowing crystals above. He whispered to himself, though no one else could hear. They will not listen. And when they see the truth, it will be too late. Outside the chamber, the stars stretched across the dark sky. Far away, beyond the reach of the council, human ships moved through space, exploring, learning, preparing. They did not yet know that an alien council had spoken of them this day. But the time would come when the warning would be tested. And when that day arrived, the galaxy would remember Turo's words. The alien fleet drifted along the border of their space. Dozens of sleek ships glided in silence, their metal frames shining under the light of nearby stars. At the center of this fleet was Varek's flagship. The young commander stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the wide screen before him. His crew moved with quiet discipline, waiting for his orders. Reports had come in that a human vessel had crossed into their territory. It was not a warship, only an exploration craft. Still, the very thought of humans entering their space stirred Varek's pride. He remembered Elder Turo's warning during the last council. The words echoed in his mind, but he pushed them aside. "Prepare to intercept," Varek said calmly. His voice carried authority, and the crew obeyed without question. Moments later, the alien fleet spotted the human ship. It was small compared to their own vessels, shaped more for endurance than battle. Its hull was marked with symbols of Earth, a blue and white emblem that seemed almost fragile in the emptiness of space. Varek studied the ship carefully. "Send a message," he ordered. "Tell them they have trespassed. Tell them to turn back or be destroyed." The signal was sent, but no reply came. Instead, the human ship continued on its path, moving slowly, scanning the region as if unaware of the danger surrounding it. The silence irritated Varek. He felt as if the humans were mocking his power. He clenched his hands behind his back. "They ignore us," he said, his tone sharp. "Very well. If they do not listen, we will show them strength." The alien ships moved into attack formation. Beams of light streaked across the void, striking the human vessel. The small ship shuddered under the blows. Its shields flared, then cracked, but it did not collapse at once. The crew on Varek's bridge watched in surprise. Most smaller species would have surrendered or fled by now. But the human ship held its ground. "Strange," whispered one officer. "They should know they cannot win." The human ship returned fire. Its weapons were weaker, but they struck with precision. One alien scout vessel was grazed, forcing it to pull back. The crew murmured at the boldness of such resistance. Varek frowned. He had expected the humans to break easily. Instead, their little ship fought with a kind of desperation. Even when flames burst from its side, it pressed forward, firing until its last weapon overheated. "Commander," said another officer, "the human ship is sending a signal." Varek's eyes narrowed. "To us?" The officer shook his head. "No. Outward. To deep space. A call for help." For the first time, doubt touched Varek's heart. He thought of Turo's warning: once humans are attacked, they will not stop until the end. He tried to push the thought aside, but it clung to him like a shadow. "Destroy them," he commanded firmly. The alien fleet unleashed another wave of fire. This time, the human ship could not withstand the assault. Its hull split apart, scattering fragments into the void. The bridge of Varek's ship fell silent as the human vessel finally went dark. The crew let out quiet sighs of relief. The threat was gone. The battle was over. To them, it was a simple victory. But to Varek, something felt unfinished. He stared at the wreckage, his mind restless. He turned to his second officer. "Ensure no signal escapes this region." The officer looked uneasy. "Commander, the transmission was already sent. We could not stop it in time. Somewhere out there, the humans know what happened here." The words struck Varek like cold steel. He said nothing for a long moment. Instead, he looked out into the stars, where the human ship had sent its last cry. The council had laughed at Turo's stories. They had dismissed his warning as fear. Yet now, Varek felt a heavy weight in his chest. If the humans truly had the spirit the elder spoke of, then this single battle might not be the end. It could be the beginning. Still, pride would not let him admit his concern to the crew. He straightened his back and raised his chin. "The humans know now that our borders are not weak," he said. "Let them send more ships if they dare. We will face them again." His words carried strength, and the crew cheered quietly, encouraged by his confidence. But deep inside, Varek was not certain. He walked to the large window at the front of the bridge and placed his hand against the cold surface. Beyond the scattered remains of the human ship, the stars glimmered endlessly. Somewhere out there, human ears had heard the signal. Somewhere, human eyes had seen the message of distress. Varek's jaw tightened. He remembered Turo's voice in the council chamber, "Once you strike them, you will never escape their pursuit." The wreckage floated silently in the darkness, but Varek could not shake the feeling that it was only the start of something far greater. The alien fleet returned to its base after the destruction of the human vessel. To most of the officers, it was a simple matter. They had defended their borders. They had shown strength. But Varek could not find peace. He stood alone in his chamber, the glow of starlight spilling across the floor. The memory of the human ship's last signal haunted him. It was not the voice of surrender. It was a message sent far beyond their reach, a promise that others would come. Weeks passed in silence. No human ships appeared. Some of the council began to mock Turo again, saying the humans were too weak to answer. But then the reports began to arrive. At first, it was only whispers from the border. Scouts spoke of faint human signals echoing in the void. Then freighters claimed they had been followed by ships that never revealed themselves but stayed hidden in the distance. The humans were not attacking, but they were not leaving either. One night, in the grand hall of the council, the leaders gathered once more. Turo sat quietly in his place, his eyes closed as if he already knew what news was coming. A messenger entered and bowed. "Reports from the outer rim. Human ships have been sighted. They travel in small groups, silent, watching. They do not fight, but they never turn back." The council chamber filled with uneasy voices. Some asked if it was only a trick. Others demanded to know how many ships there were. The messenger hesitated. "We do not know the full number. Every time we think there are only a few, more appear. They stay just outside of reach, studying us. Always studying." The chamber fell quiet. For the first time, even the most confident leaders felt the weight of the elder's warning. Varek spoke at last. His voice was calm, but his hand trembled slightly against the table. "Perhaps it is only a show of strength. If they wished to strike, they would have done so already. Instead, they wait." Turo opened his eyes and looked directly at him. His voice was soft, but every ear caught his words. "They are not waiting. They are preparing. Once you attacked them, they marked you. Now they will learn your ways. They will learn your weaknesses. They will not come in haste. They will come in certainty." The room grew cold with silence. The younger commanders shifted in their seats, trying to shake the unease that crept into their hearts. Later, aboard his flagship, Varek walked the bridge with long steps. His officers reported new sightings each day. Human vessels slipped across borders, never threatening directly, but always watching. When the aliens sent ships to chase them away, the humans vanished into the dark, only to reappear elsewhere. "Commander," one officer said, "it is as if they are mapping us. Every trade route, every patrol path, every weak point." Varek's chest tightened. He thought of Turo's words again. The elder had been right about the first encounter. Was he right about this too? Still, Varek refused to show fear. "Then we will tighten our defenses. If the humans wish to watch, let them watch. When they strike, they will meet a wall of fire." The officers nodded, but none felt comfort. The humans did not behave like other enemies. Most species attacked in sudden waves, seeking to overwhelm quickly. The humans seemed patient, as if time itself was their ally. Days turned into months. The sightings increased. Human ships appeared deeper within alien space, always slipping away before being caught. They seemed to know where the fleets would be, as if predicting their movements. Some alien worlds began to whisper in fear. Stories spread among the people. Mothers told their children not to speak of humans in the night, for their shadow might be near. On the council's next gathering, a heated argument broke out. Some leaders demanded a massive strike against the humans, to drive them away once and for all. Others urged caution, afraid that open war would only make things worse. Turo spoke little, but when he did, the chamber listened. "They are not like others," he said. "They are hunters. And when a hunter follows you, the deeper you run, the closer you come to the trap." Varek sat in silence. He wanted to argue, but deep inside, he could not deny what he had seen. The humans had already begun weaving a net around them, and he could not see the end of it. One evening, standing at the viewport of his ship, Varek watched the stars. A faint glimmer passed in the distance, a human vessel vanishing into the dark. He felt as though their eyes were on him, patient and unyielding. For the first time in his life, he wondered if his pride had placed his people in danger. Yet even with the weight of fear pressing on him, he whispered to himself with stubborn resolve, "If they come, I will meet them. Whatever Turo believes, I will not bow." But deep within, he knew the humans were already closer than anyone realized. The council had grown restless. Reports of human sightings came daily now, each one closer to the heart of their territory. Fear spread among the smaller colonies, and trade routes had begun to thin. The humans had not fired another shot since the first battle, yet their silent presence pressed down on the people like a heavy storm cloud. Varek, however, refused to let fear rule him. He stood in the council hall and raised his voice with authority. "We waste time with hesitation. The humans circle us like shadows because we let them. I say we strike. Let us show them we are not prey to be watched. Let us teach them to fear us." A few of the younger commanders agreed, their voices echoing across the chamber. Others looked uneasy, shifting in their seats, but none spoke with enough strength to silence him. Only Turo, seated quietly at the far end, raised his gaze. His voice was steady, calm, but heavy. "You will find no victory in striking them again. They wait for you to act, Varek. They are patient. And when you reach for them, you will fall into their snare." Varek's eyes narrowed. He respected the elder, but pride would not let him bend. "I do not fear snares," he said. "If they believe they can trap me, they will learn otherwise." And so, the council agreed to his plan. A fleet of warships, swift and armed with the strongest weapons, would seek out the humans. They would strike hard and fast, to drive them away once and for all. The fleet set out within the week. Varek commanded from his flagship, his heart steady, his mind sharp. His officers carried his orders with discipline, though some whispered of Turo's warning. For days, they searched the borderlands. At first, nothing appeared. Then one evening, their scanners caught faint signals ahead. Several human ships moved slowly through the dark, as if unaware of the alien fleet drawing near. Varek's lips curved in a small smile. At last, he said. They show themselves. They think we fear them. Today, we end their games. The alien ships closed in. Their weapons powered up, their engines burning bright. The humans seemed to scatter, fleeing into different directions. Varek saw this as weakness. Cowards, he muttered. Do not let them escape. Pursue them. Strike them down. The fleet split apart, each group chasing a different human vessel. Varek's flagship followed the largest of them. The chase carried them into a narrow field of drifting rocks and frozen debris. The path twisted and turned, yet the human ship moved with strange precision, as if guiding them deeper. One officer frowned at the screen. Commander, this area is unstable. If they know the paths better than we do, it could be dangerous. Varek waved the concern away. It is only debris. Continue pursuit. Suddenly, the human ship vanished from their scanners. The officers gasped, quickly adjusting their instruments. Then, out of the shadows, beams of light flashed. Human warships, hidden among the rocks, revealed themselves. They were not scattered after all. They had lured the alien fleet into their chosen ground. The first blast struck hard. One alien cruiser was torn apart in seconds. Another was crippled, its engines failing. Panic rippled through the fleet as human vessels emerged one by one, surrounding them in silence. They knew we would come, whispered an officer, his voice shaking. They were waiting for us. Varek gritted his teeth, forcing calm. Hold formation. Return fire. Do not yield. The battle raged through the debris field. The aliens fought with strength, but their movements were slow in the tight paths. The humans, smaller and more agile, darted through the gaps with ease. They struck with precision, then vanished again into the shadows. Every escape route the aliens attempted was blocked. Every strategy they tried was already answered. Varek's pride turned to unease. He realized that this was not just a battle. It was a lesson. The humans had studied them for months, learning their patterns, predicting their choices. This was the trap Turo had warned of, and now they were caught in it. On the bridge, alarms blared. The crew shouted reports of damage. Ships were falling one after another. Yet the humans did not press for quick destruction. They struck, then withdrew, as if drawing out the fight, testing every reaction. Commander, cried an officer, if we remain here, we will be destroyed. Varek clenched his fists. The thought of retreat burned against his pride, but he knew the truth. Signal the fleet. Break away. Any path we can find, take it. We must escape this field. The alien ships scattered, forcing their way out of the deadly trap. Some did not make it, exploding in bursts of fire as human weapons cut them down. Varek's flagship shook under heavy fire, but at last it broke free into open space. Behind them, the humans did not chase. They remained in the field, silent, watching, their presence heavy even from a distance. The battle was over. The aliens had survived, but they had not won. On the quiet bridge, Varek stood still. His crew looked to him for words, but he had none. In his heart, he understood what had happened. The humans had not only fought them. They had outthought them, outweighted them, and outmaneuvered them. For the first time, he truly felt the weight of Turo's words. Once you strike humans, you do not escape. As the fleet limped back toward home, Varek's pride burned, but beneath it lay something else, fear that the real war had only just begun. The fleet returned home broken. Ships carried scars from the battle, hulls torn and engines struggling. The council gathered quickly, waiting for Varek's report. When he entered the chamber, the silence was heavy. Every eye turned to him, searching for answers. He stood tall, though weariness showed in his face. We engaged the humans, he said firmly. They were prepared for us. They knew our moves before we made them. We suffered heavy loss. A murmur filled the chamber. Some leaders covered their unease with sharp words. Then we must gather all our strength, one said. We must crush them before they grow bolder. But others shook their heads. You do not understand, another answered. They do not come like others. They do not seek quick battles. They move forward step by step, never retreating. If we meet them again, we may lose more than ships. At the far end of the hall, Turo's voice carried through the noise. I warned you, he said softly, though his words cut like stone. They do not stop. They do not turn back. Once they are set upon a path, they follow it until the end. You have struck them, and now they will move against you, not in haste, but with certainty. The council argued for hours, but no agreement was made. Some demanded more weapons, others urged peace. Yet all felt the same fear, the humans would not leave. Weeks later, the reports grew worse. Human fleets began to appear at the edge of alien colonies. They did not attack at once. Instead, they advanced slowly, securing one system, then another. Each move was measured, each step precise. The humans never boasted, never sent threats, but their presence grew heavier with every passing day. In the skies above the colony world of Drinar, alien patrol ships tried to hold the line. But when human vessels appeared, they did not rush forward. They circled the colony, scanning and mapping, before slipping away. Days later, they returned in greater number, cutting off the trade routes. Supplies grew scarce, and fear spread among the people. On his flagship, Varek studied the maps. Every move the humans made seemed part of a larger plan. He clenched his hands behind his back. They are not attacking our strongest worlds, he muttered. They are taking the paths around us, one by one. They want to surround us. His second officer nodded grimly. It is as if they are squeezing us. Each time they move, they give us less space to breathe. The truth was clear. The humans did not rush to destroy. They advanced with patience, each step chosen to trap their enemy completely. It was not conquest alone, it was control. In the council chamber, panic grew. Colonies sent desperate messages for aid. Merchants cried out that their routes were blocked. Soldiers whispered that the humans always seemed to be waiting, no matter where they went. One commander slammed his fist upon the table. They will bleed us without even striking. If we do not fight back, we will lose everything. Turo's calm voice rose above the anger. If you fight again, you will only feed their fire. They are stronger not because of their ships, but because they will not break. Every strike you make only gives them reason to move closer. Varek listened, torn between pride and truth. His heart wanted to believe they could still win by force, yet his mind saw the pattern forming. Each battle left them weaker, while the humans only grew bolder. One night, he walked alone on the deck of his flagship, gazing at the stars. A faint glimmer appeared far in the distance. His officers confirmed it, another human fleet, moving with quiet certainty toward their worlds. They are coming again, said the officer. Should we prepare for battle? Varek did not answer at once. He remembered the elder's warning, remembered the trap, remembered the human ship that had sent its cry into the void. Slowly, he spoke. Prepare defenses. But do not expect them to rush us. They will come step by step. And we must be ready when they arrive. Across the galaxy, other alien species began to whisper of the same thing. The humans did not act like conquerors. They acted like survivors who could never be forced aside. Every world they touched felt the weight of their persistence. Stories spread quickly. Traders carried tales from one system to another, of human ships that never gave up the chase, of fleets that moved with tireless resolve. The legend of humanity grew with every sighting. Back on the alien homeworld, children heard the warnings in their sleep. Mothers repeated the words spoken by Turo, "Do not attack the humans. They will never let you flee." Varek stood at the heart of it all, watching as the shadow of humanity drew closer with each passing day. Pride still burned within him, but fear had taken root as well. The relentless advance had begun, and no one could see where it would end. The alien fleet gathered near the border of their core worlds. Every ship carried the scars of previous battles. Some were patched quickly, others were newly built, yet all bore the weight of fear and exhaustion. Varek moved among the crews, his presence meant to inspire courage, though inside he felt the strain of countless decisions and the memory of past failures. "The humans approach again," one officer reported, his voice tight with worry. "Sensors show multiple ships, organized and moving steadily. They do not rush. They wait." Varek studied the data, noting how the fleets aligned in careful formation. His mind turned over Turo's warning, "Once attacked, humans will never let you flee." Every movement of the approaching ships reflected patience and precision, as if each commander had learned the aliens' habits before even setting course. He looked out of the viewport at the dark expanse of space, dotted with stars. Somewhere in the distance, human vessels glimmered like tiny points of light. Despite their size, they carried a presence that seemed larger than anything Varek had faced. "Prepare for full engagement," he ordered. "All defenses online. Every weapon ready. We will hold our line and protect our worlds." As the alien fleet advanced into position, scouts reported that the humans had not spread themselves thin. They moved slowly, keeping the fleet tight. They avoided reckless attacks, yet their arrival caused unease among every crew. The humans did not fire first. They waited, their patience as threatening as a storm on the horizon. Varek's mind replayed every previous encounter. Each human vessel had survived attacks that should have destroyed them. Each time, humans had adapted, learned, and advanced. Now, he faced the largest gathering of human ships he had ever seen. His pride urged him to strike, but the lessons of the past battles pressed against his judgment. "Commander," said his second officer, "they are forming around us. If we attack, they may split our fleet and pick us apart." Varek nodded slowly. "Then we fight carefully. Every move must be deliberate. We will not underestimate them." The tension on the bridge was thick. Every crew member knew this might be the decisive encounter. The alien fleets of past battles had been strong, but the humans had always countered with determination. No one doubted that the humans would press until the end. Suddenly, the first human vessel fired. The beam struck a distant cruiser, tearing through shields and armor. The alien ship shuddered, warning lights flashing across the bridge. Chaos rippled through the fleet as weapons returned fire. The humans did not retreat. They advanced slowly, striking, then withdrawing, always observing. Every attack seemed calculated to teach the aliens patience, endurance, and humility. Varek realized that these were not mere soldiers, they were strategists, hunters who never gave up. "Hold formation," he shouted. "Do not scatter. Every ship must protect the others. We cannot give them advantage." The battle stretched across the void. Alien ships fired, dodged, and maneuvered, but the humans anticipated almost every move. Varek's fleet suffered losses, yet he noticed something remarkable: even the damaged humans refused to flee. They pressed forward with determination, striking at the gaps in alien defenses, then pulling back to assess the next step. Varek's pride and fear collided within him. He had always believed victory could be won with strength alone. Now he saw that humans relied on more than technology or numbers. They relied on resolve, on the ability to endure and pursue relentlessly. Hours passed, and the fleet was battered. Varek's flagship shook as weapons impacted its hull. Crews called for retreat. He could see that some ships were heavily damaged. Yet the humans advanced patiently, slowly tightening the circle. Finally, Varek raised his hand. "Pull back to defensive positions. Preserve what we can." We will not win by reckless assault. Even in retreat, the humans did not pursue recklessly. They allowed the aliens to fall back, observing and learning, never letting fear dictate their actions. Varek realized then that his people had survived not through cunning or strength, but by the humans' deliberate mercy, choosing when to strike and when to hold. In the quiet moments after the engagement, Varek walked the bridge alone. His pride still burned, but humility had taken root. He remembered Turo's words, which had been dismissed before: "Do not attack humans. Once struck, they will not let you flee." This battle had proven the truth of the warning. The humans had not conquered by force alone. They had shown their strength in patience, endurance, and persistence. Varek understood that the war was far from over. The humans' advance was relentless, and any future strike against them would only bring more danger. Outside the ship, the stars stretched endlessly, but Varek's eyes saw only one path ahead: cautious preparation, careful defense, and respect for a species whose determination was unmatched. For the first time, he whispered to himself, not as a commander, but as a learner: "They are not like any enemy we have faced. And now, we must respect them if we hope to survive." The last stand had ended, but the war had only deepened. Humanity's relentless advance had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Months passed after the last battle. The alien worlds struggled to rebuild their fleets. Ships that had been destroyed were replaced slowly, but every commander knew the cost of underestimating the humans. Varek stood before the council once more, his face marked by fatigue, his eyes carrying the weight of hard lessons learned. "They are not gone," he said quietly. "They do not rush. They do not demand immediate surrender. Yet every time we strike or even move, they adjust. They advance steadily, and we cannot shake them off. We are dealing with a force that is tireless, patient, and unyielding." Turo, sitting calmly, nodded. His eyes glimmered with a mixture of pride and sorrow. "I warned you," he said softly. "The galaxy needed to learn this lesson, and you now understand it firsthand. Humanity does not fight as others do. They endure. They persist. They never allow retreat once challenged." The council was silent. Leaders who had once dismissed humans as weak now spoke in hushed voices of caution. Trade routes were reopened with extra patrols. Colonies strengthened their defenses. Stories of the humans' persistence spread across the stars. Varek left the council chamber and walked among the citizens of the capital. He watched children play, unaware of the fear and tension that had gripped the older generations. Parents whispered the lessons of the humans, repeating Turo's warning: "Do not attack the humans. They will never let you flee." He felt the weight of responsibility more than ever. His pride had led him to ignore the warning, and the consequences had been severe. Lives were lost, fleets were damaged, and now the humans' reputation had grown across the galaxy. Every alien species, large and small, began to respect the power of determination over technology and strength. Varek's fleet continued patrols, but every move was careful, deliberate. Scouts reported human ships in distant systems, yet they did not strike without cause. The humans advanced with patience, testing every corner of the galaxy with quiet observation, always calculating, always moving forward. The elder Turo visited Varek one evening aboard his flagship. "You have learned what I tried to teach," he said. "The humans are not invincible in the way we once thought, but their spirit is stronger than many fleets. Their strength is not in weapons, but in will. Respect that, and you will endure." Varek nodded. "We have seen their patience, their strategy, and their endurance. We cannot fight them as we fight others. We must be careful, or we will destroy ourselves." Across the galaxy, humans continued their explorations. They did not boast of victories. They did not send threats. Yet every system that watched them learned the same lesson. The humans never retreated. Once they were involved, they followed through. Every story of an encounter spread quickly, teaching the older species to approach humanity with caution and respect. In the alien schools, children learned of the humans not as invaders, but as a lesson in persistence. Their stories told of fleets that would chase enemies across the stars, of captains who would never surrender, and of explorers who always returned to finish what they started. The legend of humanity grew, not because of violence, but because of determination. Varek often walked alone at night, looking at the stars. He thought of the humans he had faced and the lessons he had learned. Pride still burned in him, but it was tempered with respect. Humanity had shown that power was not always measured in ships or weapons. Sometimes, it was measured in patience, endurance, and the refusal to give up. As years passed, alien civilizations spoke the same phrase that Turo had whispered long ago: do not attack the humans. They will never let you flee. It became a saying repeated across galaxies, a reminder that determination could outlast force. Varek stood on his flagship one last time, watching the stars. Far away, faint human vessels moved steadily through space, exploring, mapping, observing, and always advancing. He knew that their approach was not quick or loud, but it was unstoppable. He whispered quietly to himself, feeling both awe and caution. They are not like any enemy we have faced. We respect them now, and we will remember what we have learned. The galaxy had changed. Humans were not the largest, nor the most armed, but they had a power no one could ignore. Their legacy was written not in battles alone, but in the lessons of persistence, endurance, and spirit. And everywhere in the stars, from the smallest colony to the grandest council hall, the words were repeated, echoing through generations: do not attack the humans. They will never let you flee. The galaxy would never forget the lesson, and humanity's legend would grow with each passing star.